Our mother always served dinner on stainless steel plates. She watched us eat as we sat cross-legged on the floor, knees touching, elbows knocking, constantly talking about this thing or that. She didn't mind though. She liked that we had so much to say, and one day when my brother was busy telling me about this UFO that he'd apparently spotted the night before, my mother took a Methi Paratha, my favorite thing in the world, by the way, and gave it to my brother. She'd made them earlier for lunch that day, and unfortunately there was only one left over, so obviously she had to give it to him. Not that I was left hungry, of course, but that was my first lesson in womanhood, carefully woven into my otherwise perfect childhood. You see, I come from a very progressive family. In 1934, when the rest of her equals were already being prepared for matrimony and childbirth, my grandmother was encouraged to go to school. In 1957, when she had a daughter, my grandmother took that fight one step further when my beautiful brown-skinned, dark-eyed Hindu Maharashtrian mother fell in love with my handsome, fair-skinned, blue-eyed, seeking Canadian father. My grandmother was standing right behind them. There was a big fat Indian wedding. My mother had draped a beautiful red sari. My father had mounted a horse, and the whole town was invited. Today, in 2017, when I tell my mother I want to take a year off and travel the world and meet people and perform poetry, my mother says to me, write poems that make people smile, Priyam. Write poems that make them laugh and sing and cry. But most importantly, write poems that are honest. Poems that you can stand by. When I think of this poem that I'm writing, fighting so hard not to be bitter at my brother for being her mollycoddled prince while I was runner-up just second to the throne. Bitter because he did not see this on his own. I had to show him. Bitter because when I did tell him, he smiled, as though I were a wildly imaginative child making up the Methi Paratha story. But then again, when I think of it, not with bitterness, but with a little bit of love, with an understanding, an open mind, an open heart, I can see now how it wasn't really his fault. It's true that he didn't see, but then again, for the longest time, there was a part of me that didn't see either. A part of me that thought that Methi Paratha really did belong to him. The same part perhaps that saw my mother put it there, it always hurt, but I didn't always think it was unfair. Then how could he? You see, my brother and I, we grew up together, went to the same school, had the same friends, got the same amount of pocket money, and most importantly, my mother, she really does love me. It's just that sometimes she gives him the last Methi Paratha. I wish she wouldn't do that. But that last Methi Paratha is not my struggle for equality. It is the last vestiges of a battle for equality that is already won by my mother and her mother and generations of women before them. It is a battle it is a victory that will evolve when I become a mother myself and break that Methi Paratha into two equal halves. It is a victory that will evolve naturally. But then again, there are things that don't change naturally. Things that need more than just the courage to endure and forgive. Things that need to be fought for, perpetually sleeping voices that need to shout, locked up heroes that need to come out and claim what is rightfully theirs. And when they do, you can choose to smile and dismiss their fight as pointless. You can even mock them in the name of pseudo-feminism. But they will still fight. And they will still win. And it will be a victory that will evolve naturally.